Welcome to a special presentation of Sellout Crowd, Conversations with Coach. I'm Bob Stoops. I'm taking time to talk with my friends and colleagues in the sports world to get caught up and share some stories. But first, I want to say thanks to these sponsors: Rose Hill Builders, First Fidelity Bank, and Louie's Bar and Grill.
Well, Bob, this is going to be fun for me. We used to do this a lot, but I always had to share the time with about 30 other reporters. So now
Absolutely.
we get to ask you
Asking
all
me
kinds of
questions,
stuff.
and who would have thought we're partners in this media business? How about that?
Well, it is crazy how life turns, but it's been fun so far. I think it's going to keep being fun.
I've really enjoyed my time getting to visit with buddies, that I hadn't seen in a while. So it's fun doing it.
Well, people are enjoying it, but they also want to hear just straight from you. So we've got a variety of questions from readers and listeners and fans, and
Okay.
got a good collection here. Let's go straight to one of the big talking points in OU football right now, which is Sooners soon will be in the SEC. You played in the Big Ten, you coached in the Big 8, the SEC, the Big 12. You've analyzed games for the Pac-12. What historically has been the differences between conferences, and what are the differences now?
Yeah, I think overall, the SEC, Big Ten are a little bit more. I want to just say, I don't mean better, but a little or more physical lines of scrimmage, probably a little bit. The Big 12 and Pac-12 probably a little more finesse, a little more speed and passing. Those, little more efficiently passing, especially through the Big 12, all the great quarterbacks we've had go through here in the last 15 years. I think, to me, those are kind of the bigger differences between the two conferences, or the four or five conferences.
Right.
I haven't spent much time with the ACC, truly, but anyway, to me, that's what it gets down to: a little more physical lines of scrimmage and a little more efficiency and expertise in throwing the ball through the Big 12, maybe in the Pac-12.
You, Coach, you've enjoyed this final season for Drake, not just being part of the Sooners, but turning into a star. First team All Big 12, for crying out loud. Perhaps has a future in the NFL. Who knows? But his twin Isaac has stepped his toe into coaching. Do you expect Drake to do the same thing? Would he be interested in coaching as well?
I really don't know. Isaac did for a while. He isn't currently. So, and he enjoyed it and loved it. And in fact, he misses it now that he isn't in it. So who knows? He may go back to it. And Drake hasn't talked about it. Drake's one of those, whatever comes first. And all he's thought about is this year being his best this year, the team, anything he can do to help them win. And I know that's all he's thinking about now, finishing the season with the bowl game, but then, having an opportunity to play in the NFL. There's a lot of players through the years and even now that are in the league that have similar traits and characteristics and skills that Drake has, and that's all he's got his mind on right now.
Of course, bowl season starts Sunday. Looking back on your OU career, most years you were in a BCS bowl, a major bowl, the Sugar, the Fiesta, the Rose, the Orange. But when the Sooners had the rare down year, you didn't make a BCS bowl. What was your favorite non-BCS bowl trip?
Oh man, they're all so good, and the people go out of their way to really take care of you. So hopefully, I'm not offending anybody here, but the Holiday Bowl, just I think being in San Diego for almost a week, and San Diego's so consistent weather-wise, and all there is to do. That was probably one of the ones that really sticks out to me. If it isn't one of the New Year's Six ones.
Saturday or Friday, the OU TCU game, representative from the Independence Bowl was here, and it was the same guy who was sort of the OU liaison in 1999 when your first year you ended the OU bowl drought, and 30,000 Sooner fans went to went to Shreveport. What do you remember about that week? And just the craziness of everybody being excited about the Sooners being back in a bowl game.
Well, this will be good. I was glad we were in a bowl, appreciative of the opportunity. I really felt we had bigger things coming. I really did. I go out for the game, and a Ruf-Nek runs me over. All of a sudden, you know how they sprint down the field? I'm jogging out last like I always do. I let the team go ahead of me, and they come running down the field. They get their legs tangled up, and one of them just totally, it would have been a clip. He'd have got a 15-yard penalty if he was a player. Hit me on the side of my bad knee where I don't have an anterior cruciate. My knee blew up like a watermelon by halftime. I'm limping around. I got a grass stain on my rear end, and Smitty sees it. And, Smitty, he hated it, but he couldn't stop laughing. So he and Matt McMillan, they're over there giggling, pointing at me at my rear end and the grass stain. And, I did a whole 360 in the air and landed on my rear end. And then we end up losing in the last seconds. Deuce McAllister has that big kickoff return, and they hit a long field goal to beat us. I'm mad as all get out. And now the Independence Bowl committee wants to present a trophy in the locker room for the second place in the Independence Bowl. And I said, are you out of your mind? There is no way I'm bringing the team up to accept a second place trophy in a bowl game. But they gave Matt the trophy. And I said, Matt, I gave him the trophy. And I said, make sure I never see that again. And so it's probably in the closet somewhere in the dungeon up there in the stadium. But and then on the way home, it turns midnight on the bus. And
Y2K.
All the guys pardon me?
Y2K.
Exactly. Y2K. Everybody's quiet after lose a game. And I said, listen, guys, season's over, right? We're learning how to win. We had a better year than maybe some thought. But I said, everybody relax. Relax. Go back, enjoy your families, laugh a little bit, talk amongst each other. And I said, we got bigger things coming. I said, this season's over, but, loosen up a little bit and enjoy the ride home. And let's just have bigger things we'll have bigger things coming next year. And then everyone started talking and loosening up a little bit. And sure enough, we go on and win the national championship the next year.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Coaches are notorious for their duty to preparation and getting ready and taking care of the things they can control. But some of them turn superstitious. Did you have any pregame rituals? Any wardrobe or rituals or things you just had to have done before a game?
I really didn't. I never bought into that. I got dressed differently every week. I got different clothes different weeks. It didn't matter to me. I didn't never. To me, I had enough to worry about that. I wasn't going to worry about how I got dressed or what I wore and all of that stuff. So really wasn't part of my routine whatsoever.
Now, the one thing I remember you telling me one time was that one thing you like to do, especially on the road, was get to the stadium and take a stroll around the field, especially if it was a new place or an historic place. Any particular good memory of sort of enjoying and taking in the empty stadium before a game?
Yeah, I always, we get there always like 2 hours, 15 minutes ahead of the game. It doesn't take me but 10 minutes to get dressed. So, you just try, and I always just love to stroll. I love stadiums. I love being in all stadiums. And then, to me, it was always a little bit of, you go through some of the routine of the game. You go through some of the play calls, each side of the ball, you're down in distances. But ahead of doing that, I just enjoyed some peace and quiet, a little reflection. And, to me, always I had a little prayer time, just thanks for the day, giving me a chance to be here in a competitive environment, wherever it was. And then, and get me ready for the fight, and then you start to get into it once, like I said, then I start reading some of our scripts and things like that of what our calls are, thinking through some of the parts of the game, and then go in and get dressed.
What's the percent chance, Bob, that you would coach college football again?
Not very high. It would have to be something I just couldn't say no to. Not sure what that might be. I'm just a believer in you never say never or always. It's just, you never know what the good Lord's going to bring you. It's not, I'm not sitting there seeking it or looking for it, but you just never know what might happen.
What's the closest you ever came to taking an NFL job? David Boren always said that more than a college job, he feared losing you to the Cleveland Browns, especially in the early 2000s.
Well, there was a couple times, without naming names, early and mid 2000s that up to 2008 that I was approached by a couple people and it got known. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to play the game because I've seen coaches go through interviews and act, and then they lead you to believe that you're offered the job. I've seen coaches ruin their careers that way, and then you don't have the job. Whatever. It's just so I was always adamant. I told my agent might talk to people, but I said, listen, until somebody I hear from an owner that I've got this contract and this is what it is and this is how many whatever. I've said I'm not going to go through this BS when I feel I've got one of the best jobs in the country. And then lo and behold, a time or two in particular, I could think of one. I get home from a recruiting trip and the phone's ringing. I know what the area code is, and sure enough, it's an owner. And he goes, "I hear you don't want to talk to anybody else but the owner." I said, "That's right." And he says, "Well, this is so and so, and I want you to know I'm serious about you. I want you to look at this job," and on and on. And again, it got down to here it was, the back and forth again. And I said, well, I'm not getting in the middle of that when I love the job I have.
Of course, you out of OU a few years, and you decide to go back into a part-time role, head coach of an XFL team. What led you to take that job, and what do you enjoy about it?
Well, when I got out, I just wanted my own space, my own time. And lo and behold, after 2-3 years out, I had too much of my own space and too much of my own time. And my wife thought it'd be a good idea that I get out of the house for a few months. So it just fit well. Arlington, the Arlington team's only 2.5 hours down the road. So easy for my family, or particular my wife, Carol, to come back and forth, to be down there for a while and then to go back. That fit me. I really believed in the ownership and the vision of the league. All of it just fit me perfectly. It's, as you said, it's a certain portion of the year. And some of it takes you all year evaluating certain things, but overall the games are only a limited time of the year. And, so all of it together just really fit me. And I had a blast. You go to practice, you're working with older guys who really know the game, that pick everything up really quickly. The players do. When I leave practice, I don't have to go to an academic meeting. I don't have to call Johnny's parents because Johnny won't go to class or won't go to study hall. I don't have to go to a compliance meeting. I don't have to go to a recruiting meeting. It's just football with a bunch of guys that are grown men who have families, a lot of them themselves. So there's just no babysitting. So it was really enjoyable, and I had a blast with it. In particular, last year to finish the season, and we won the XFL championship.
Of course, the revived XFL after the pandemic, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, has gotten involved as one of the investors. What was your first impression of The Rock?
Just as you see him, a wonderful guy to be around. Very easy to be around. Got a huge presence, but that's because he's so talented. I mean, he's incredibly bright. Just so successful in everything he does. But really, just a great guy to be around, and a guy's guy. He fits right in. Being around the players and being around the coaches and on the field, you could tell he's played before. So just a real enjoyable guy to be around.
You grew up in Youngstown, which is prime NFL country. You're not far from Pittsburgh, not far from Cleveland. Did you have a favorite NFL team growing up?
Yeah,
and do you have a favorite team now, or a team you follow now?
Yeah, Youngstown's dead between Cleveland and Pittsburgh. And so, but growing up as a young person, Pittsburgh was winning all those Super Bowls with Terry Bradshaw and Lynn Swann and all that period of time. So I got to admit, I was more a Steelers fan growing up. And truth be told, Youngstown's like 45 minutes from Pittsburgh. It's a little closer than Cleveland's, about an hour. But anyway, and then so I was more a Steelers fan than I was the Browns. And the Browns, weren't doing so well back then, and really for the most part still aren't. so whatever. So anyway, Steelers were always the team I followed more.
Do you follow NFL today beyond just, you've got a bunch of guys playing?
Yeah, truth be told, I've always been one where proximity matters to me. Like wherever I've coached at, like when I was in Kansas State, I was more a Chiefs guy. You recruit locally because most people are for them. So I'm for the Cowboys all the time, being close to there now. Anyway, but truth be told, I just follow all our players that played for me. I'm always interested on how each of these guys have done, and I look through the box scores. I look through, if I can't see the game, I'll be jumping back and forth between, what Denver's got 5 or 6 of our guys, and whatever, Cincinnati, watching, I just watch all the players that played for me, and very intently.
What's the most athletic thing you've ever seen on a football field?
Oh, wow. Wow. Just a lot of it, defensively, Roy Williams, not just the Superman play, but a lot of what he did. Offensively, guys like DeMarco and Adrian and some of the special plays. And then all my quarterbacks, there are too many to name. That's not easy what those guys do. I think, we've had so many quarterbacks make it look easy that people get spoiled. And, you look at Dylan Gabriel, some people, don't act like he measures up to some of these guys, and he does. Look at his numbers. It is so hard to play quarterback and to watch what so many of our quarterbacks have done, including what Dylan has done this year, to me is really, really athletic.
You bring up Dylan, and you brought Kyler to Norman. You've had some big guys play quarterback. You've also had some smaller guys play quarterback. Is Dylan and Kyler, are they good examples of guys that they don't have to be 6'4", Sam Bradford types to make it big?
Oh, definitely. Those guys definitely they've shown. I mean, look at their numbers, their stats. That's become a thing anymore. Even even Bryce Young, right, is in the NFL now, and there's a lot of these guys. I've talked to Drew Brees many times, and I'm not a big guy, but I look eye to eye with Drew. So and look at all the great success he's had through the years. So point being, it's been shown over and over with the right, you got the right talent, you could still play at a high level regardless of how big you are.
You got to coach a bunch of great players. Anybody ever stick out that you didn't coach but you wish you had?
Oh man, there's a bunch of them, but a guy I really got to know through all the Heisman stuff going on with Jason White, I got to be around Larry Fitzgerald several times, and what a prince of a guy, and what an amazing talent. You put the two of those together. Those are the guys you just love to coach, that are humble but big time, athletes. And I was at the Fiesta Bowl practicing. Larry been in the league. I don't know what year this was, but he's been in the league for 8-9 years. And he comes by practice with one of the team's security guards, who was just a buddy of his, and they go to high school games every weekend before their Sunday games. But he wanted to come to our practice. He sought out Ryan Broyles, Ryan had torn his ACL, and he goes, "I'm a big fan of Ryan Broyles. I want to meet him." So he come walking up to me, and I said I'd already known Larry from meeting him through all the Heisman stuff. And I said, "Here, Larry, he's over on the other field with the offensive guys." He walks all the way over and spends, 15, 20 minutes talking with Ryan, encouraging him about how it's going to be okay and once he's healed up. And, that's just the kind of guy. He didn't have to do that. He didn't even know Ryan Broyles, but he wanted to go encourage him, just on his journey back from the ACL. What a great player he was.
Good story. Good story. Let's go off the field for a minute. You and Carol have been married for 35 years. We had a reader that wanted to know, what's the success? What's your key to success for a successful marriage in the coaching industry, which can be really taxing on a family?
I think as much as anything, Carol, we dated 5 years while I wasn't making any money. I was a grad assistant, volunteer assistant, but making, just at my time at Iowa. And she knew she was a very independent person. It wasn't like she was counting the hours or where have you been or I'm waiting on you. She knew what the coaching world entailed and was always, very supportive of it. She understood what it meant to all these players and the time commitment it took to have success and to go recruit and to help develop these players. And so she was always very understanding and knew the job, I think, as much as anything. And then I think, too, I did a good job naturally including her, as well as all my coaches' wives were always welcome at the office, could always stop in for lunch, can always stop in after practice for dinner. They were always invited and always welcome, regardless of what we were doing. I think that always mattered. Our wives were allowed to go, and I had a policy they can go on any trip they want, or all of them, any away trip they wanted to go on. So a lot of inclusion that way, and I think for everybody, communication. And I'll be honest, I'm not the best communicator, but anyone out there trying to have a great relationship, that's probably number one. You got to do your best, and then all the, just the inclusion, the loyalty, and all of that, and sharing.
You got to go a lot of places, Bob, see a lot of things. You got a lot of interest beyond football. But what's still on your bucket list? Any site around the world you'd like to see, or event you'd like to attend, or activity you'd still like to do?
Well, a couple of things, I guess. When you think of trips or places to go, I want to do a safari in Africa. I know, as well as Carol, my wife, that's on our big bucket list to do, to go to Africa and do a safari. And we're close to doing that, but it seems I don't think I can do it this year. Also, a simple thing would be I want to go to Lambeau Field, see a game at Green Bay. To me, that's one of the more iconic places. So I'm going to have to wait. It's getting a little too cold for my blood right now. So maybe next year early, now that Drake isn't playing at OU anymore, I can get up there for a game next early fall.
Well, good. What's your favorite place you've ever been?
Oh man, anywhere in Italy. I've been multiple trips over there, and absolutely have enjoyed the heck out of every one of them. And I've been south to north, and I've in between, and pretty special anywhere you go over there.
Well, Bob, this has been fun. It's been a treat for me getting to chat some old football and some new football and all those things. And as we said, it's been great having you with Sellout Crowd, and it's a lot of fun being partners.
I appreciate it, Barry. Always great to be with you. Good questions there today. And selloutcrowd.com if people want to go find it.